So is it okay to go up to a person of color and randomly start asking them questions about their hair in public, specifically if their hair is real or fake? Is it okay to do that? Is it appropriate? Hey everyone, welcome back to Miss Muffet. I want to talk about something interesting that happened to me today, which can also be considered a bit of a controversial, or not controversial, but maybe a sensitive subject matter. So today's Thanksgiving in Canada. Happy Thanksgiving to you if you're celebrating with you and your family. And so I was in the grocery store getting some items for dinner tonight. And a random woman just came up to me and started asking me about my hair. So she basically asked me, well, first she started with a really nice compliment, which was, oh, I really like your hair. I really like the color that you have in your braids. And that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with somebody coming up to you and giving you a compliment about your hair. Like, it's kind of flattering. It's nice, right? When somebody that you don't know, a complete stranger, comes up and gives you a compliment. But where it started to get a little odd, she then asked me if my hair was real. So she said, is it real? Or is it extensions? Like, is it fake? And again, let me just set the setting. I'm in a grocery store amongst, like, a full grocery store because it's Thanksgiving and everyone's shopping for last minute to get items for their meal with their family. And she asked me this in front of like a full, like, the environment just wasn't the most appropriate environment, in my opinion. Come up to a complete stranger and ask them if their hair is real. So is it okay to go up to a person of color and randomly start asking them questions about their hair in public, specifically if their hair is real or fake? Is it okay to do that? Is it appropriate? Well, that's a very complicated answer to give. Because for some, they'll be comfortable with it. I would argue that most women in my position would not be comfortable with what happened to me today. So I'm not going to try to speak for everyone in this video at all. I'm just going to speak to my feelings around it and how I responded. First of all, let me say that this is not the first time that I've had a complete stranger randomly come up to me and either ask me if they could touch my hair, or ask me if they could, or just ask me random questions about my hair, particularly, is it real? And my initial reaction when this woman asked me this today, I initially was embarrassment. To be honest, I was embarrassed to have gone from a really nice compliment to then like signaling me out, like, is your hair real though? It's nice, but is it real though? Is it real? I mean, it's none of your business, first of all. And to ask me that in such a large area with so many people around is what made it inappropriate for me in this particular scenario. So my first initial emotion and reaction to it was embarrassment, and I felt that build up in me very quickly. So I distinctly remember taking a quick breath to calm down and quickly deciding, like, in my mind, how I wanted to go about answering this question. And I went about answering this question the way I always do, which is, I assume that this person's intention on asking me this question is for educational purposes. My assumption is that people are A, curious, and B, want to learn more. And I found that when I started taking that approach, telling myself that, okay, the reason why this person is asking me this question right now is because they want to learn. They're genuinely curious. And I don't know what it is, but apparently there's something about me when I'm out in public that make people feel like they are comfortable enough to come and ask me these questions all the time. Like, they approach me all the time. I don't know if it's because I have a friendly demeanor or if it's because I smile a lot when I'm out in public. I really don't know. I don't know why people choose me, but I get chosen a lot. I'm the chosen one, I guess. I'm the chosen one. So yeah, I assumed she was genuinely curious. And so I answered the question. I did answer the question. I explained to her that they were extensions. And then she proceeded to ask more questions. And she was there with who I assumed to be her partner as well. And he seemed very uncomfortable. Like, he walked away immediately when she started asking me these questions. So it makes me wonder if this is like something she does regularly, because he didn't seem surprised, but he also didn't want to have anything to do with it. He didn't want to be a part of it at all. So he walked away from her immediately. But I answered her questions, and she proceeded to ask me how long I could keep my braids in for. And she asked me, can I wash my braids the same way that I wash my natural hair? So she was like, she got personal, really personal in this grocery store. Okay. And then I started to really feel a bit uncomfortable. So then I started to really ask myself, like, why is she asking me all these questions? Because she had very specific questions she was asking as well. Come to find out, she then started to explain to me that her daughter's children are of mixed race, and her daughter has been having some difficulty finding ways to manage their hair, specifically knowing what specific products to use in their hair to kind of help retain moisture and control frizz. And she explained that her daughter was thinking of putting braids in her children's hair. And she said that she has two granddaughters, very young. Apparently they're like 5 and 6, she said. So that's the reason why she came up to me and started asking me questions about my hair. And honestly, when she told me that, I became a lot more at ease with the situation. And I found myself actually wanting to help. Now that I had a full understanding as to why she was asking me these questions, and it wasn't just some person being nosy and inappropriate, I calmed down a bit and I took the time to answer all the questions she had. I really did. And in the end, she was very grateful. Like, she actually thanked me for taking the time to answer some of her questions. And she actually pulled out her phone. Like, I started talking to her about butters for retaining moisture. And I briefly explained the difference between using butters and oils in hair, because she told me that her daughter has been using oils in her children's hair and it hasn't been working very well. So I just took the time to explain to her the difference between butters and oils and the purpose for each and how to use each properly so that they're effective. They're effective in her granddaughter's hair. She actually whipped out her cell phone and started to take little notes on what I was telling her. And that's how I knew she was genuinely looking for information that she could pass on to her daughter to help her granddaughters. So that's what I mean. It's complicated. Is it okay to randomly walk up to any woman or person of color that you see and ask them about their hair? I would say no. I would say it's not okay, because not everyone is going to be okay with you doing that. Me specifically, I am okay, because when the person initially comes to me with a question, I take a few seconds to try to analyze the intent, try to analyze where it's coming from. And a lot of it, I go off of the vibe that I'm getting. If somebody asks me to touch my hair, that's an automatic no. I don't think, whether you're a person of color or not, you don't go up to somebody and ask them to touch your hair. That's, in my opinion, inappropriate, no matter who the person is and no matter what situation you're in. I don't think you should be going up to anybody and asking them to randomly touch their hair. I think you need to respect people's space, and also just hygiene. Like, I don't know where your hands have been. I don't know the last time you washed your hands. You're not putting that in my hair. My freshly washed, moisturized hair? No, I don't think so. So here's what I'd say. If I was going to give advice to anybody who was thinking about walking up to a person or a person of color and, you know, had the urge to ask them about their hair, their regime, the history of it, their braids, is it real, is it not? What I would say to that is, it's not so much about what you're asking them, in my opinion. It's more about how you're going about approaching the situation and how you're asking them. And before you do go ask this person any kind of question about their hair, because let's be honest, at the end of the day, it's really none of your business. And you have to be prepared. You should be prepared for potential negative reactions. If you choose to do that, if you choose to open up that scenario, then you have to be open and willing to receive, in my opinion, whatever reaction you get from that. Because again, some people are going to be open and comfortable to that, and some are not. So before you ask these questions, ask yourself why. Ask yourself, why are you asking this question? Are you going up to this person and asking them about their hair because you're nosy? Like, you're just really nosy? Because if that's the reason, then maybe it would be better if you just take the time to go on Google and see if you can find some of your answers that way. Because I'll tell you, there's a ton of information on Google. You can learn almost anything you want about hair regime and hair products, all that kind of stuff. So if that's the reason, if you're just being nosy, then maybe think of another alternative so that you don't potentially put yourself or others in an uncomfortable situation. I would say it also depends on who you're asking. So if this is someone that you've known for a while, they're considered a friend of yours, you know, you have an established personal relationship with them already, and there's that level of trust already formed between the two of you, then yeah, you can go ahead and ask them for sure. You know, I have friends that ask me about my hair all the time, and it doesn't bother me one bit because I know that they're coming from a place of love and their intentions are pure. So yeah, who the person is really has a big role to play. What your intention is behind asking has another big role to play. And then I would say, please also consider the environment you're in. If you're in a very public area and you're going to be asking this question in front of a large crowd, please reconsider, because you may not realize it, but it's kind of embarrassing for someone to be asking you, is your hair real, in front of complete stranger, like a room of complete strangers? Because why does it matter? Why does it matter if the braids I have in my hair, if it's real or not? Like, lots of people wear wigs. Lots of people have, you know, hairstyles that aren't their own. So why is that important for you to know in this very moment? Again, I'm fine with it because I try to take the opportunity to teach. And I have found, and this isn't the first time that I have taken the opportunity to try and teach, and at the end of the conversation, the person has told me that they were asking for a very specific reason. Usually for somebody that they know in their lives that's been struggling with their hair care regime. And so for the most part, every time I've answered these questions, I've left feeling good about the situation and the fact that I was able to actually help someone in need, especially when they tell me it's for children, especially when they tell me that they're asking for children that they have in their lives and they just want to better the health of these children's hair and their hair care regime, which ultimately in the end helps these children with their self-confidence and self-esteem and just feel better about themselves. So I've always been okay with it. So honestly, those are my thoughts on the situation. Again, I know that it's a very personal, intimate situation for some. And don't get me wrong, I've had experiences where people have asked me about my hair that have not gone you know, well, where it was extremely embarrassing, and I have gotten upset, and I have basically let them know that it was inappropriate for them to ask me in the way that they asked. So, and that's what I mean about, you know, assessing the situation and the intent behind it. Honestly, in my opinion, you can really feel if someone's coming from a place of, you know, just a place of purity and not really meaning any harm, or if there's something else behind the reason why they're asking. You can feel that. You can feel that in the conversation. And the moment I feel that is the moment I end the conversation. So yeah, I just wanted to jump on here and share my experience. I would really be curious to hear if you've had a similar experience of your own, either being someone that, you know, had the courage to go and ask someone about their hair, like if you were the person doing the asking, or if you were the individual on the receiving end being asked. I'm curious. I'm curious to know how it was for you. How you handled the situation. And if you were the person doing the asking, do you think you would ever ask again? And if you were the person on the receiving end, are you okay with being asked about your hair in public places by strangers? Leave a comment below and let me know. Let me know. Share your experience with me if you're comfortable doing so, of course. But that's it for today. Just a short and sweet video. I don't know if this video will be helpful. Maybe the little tips I gave, if you're on the asking end, maybe the little tips I gave you may find helpful in just, you know, helping yourself think about the situation a little bit more. And if you're on the receiving end, maybe this video will be helpful in helping you just find a little bit more patience when this does happen to you, and when somebody does approach you and asks you these personal questions. So like always, thank you for joining me today, friend, and I will see you in the next video.